The face of Evil Eye in the darkest corners of human history, few names inspire the level of fear and revulsion as that of Viktor Krol, a man whose legacy is painted in the blood of over 100 innocent lives. Dubbed by the media as the devil in human skin, Krol wasn't just a murderer. He was a predator, a master manipulator, and a ghost in the system. From small rural towns to bustling cities, his trail of terror stretched across continents, leaving investigators baffled and communities shattered. Born in Eastern Europe during a time of political unrest, Viktor Krol was an enigma from the start. No birth records, no school history, just a boy who seemingly appeared in state custody one day and vanished into the underground the next. Over the years, he evolved from petty theft and con artistry to calculated assassinations and mass killings. Authorities linked him to at least 17 terrorist attacks, multiple serial killings, and the disappearance of political figures, yet no solid evidence ever stuck, until a minor error led to his capture in 2019. The arrest sent shockwaves through the world. Governments applauded, victims' families wept, and for a brief moment it felt like evil had been caged. But imprisoning Viktor Krol wasn't a simple task. He wasn't sent to just any facility. He was locked away in Black Ridge Penitentiary, one of the most fortified prisons on Earth, located in a remote mountain range surrounded by icy wilderness and 24/7 surveillance. This wasn't just a prison. It was a fortress designed to hold war criminals and terrorists, a place where no one had ever escaped. Black Ridge was a marvel of modern security: reinforced steel walls, facial recognition systems, underground cells with no direct sunlight, and guards trained in psychological warfare. Krol was held in complete isolation, his cell monitored every second, his food delivered via robotic arms. He had no human contact, no communication with the outside world. At least, that's what the world believed. Despite these precautions, fear still loomed. The media followed every update obsessively. News anchors debated his mental state, psychologists published papers on his sociopathy, and conspiracy theorists speculated that he had accomplices within government agencies. Krol wasn't just a prisoner, he was a symbol of something much darker. His eyes, cold and calculating, became the face of documentaries, podcasts, and horror films. The world was obsessed, but also terrified. Then came the unthinkable. In a facility believed to be inescapable, guarded like Fort Knox, Viktor Krol vanished. No warning, no signs. One moment he was inside, monitored, restrained, contained. The next, his cell was empty. What followed was not just a manhunt, it was a global crisis. But before we dive into how this monster pulled off the impossible, we need to understand the prison he escaped from, the life he lived behind those walls, and the slow, brilliant plan he crafted for freedom. Because Viktor Krol wasn't just another killer, he was. Black Ridge Penitentiary wasn't built for regular criminals. It was a fortress buried deep within the icy cliffs of the Siberian mountains, its walls made of reinforced concrete and titanium mesh, its perimeter guarded by electric fences, sniper towers, and motion-detecting drones. Accessible only by a single underground tunnel and heavily monitored aerial routes, Black Ridge was considered escape-proof. This prison didn't just lock men away, it buried them from the world inside. The security was suffocating. Every corridor was watched by infrared cameras with biometric scanners that could detect even slight changes in a heartbeat. The prison was divided into levels, each descending deeper underground. The bottom level, Level Z, was reserved for the most dangerous inmate of all, Viktor Krol. His cell was a 12 by 12-foot cube surrounded by 2 layers of bulletproof glass and steel. There were no windows, no visible doors, only a retractable wall panel that opened briefly for robotic arms to deliver food. The lights were artificial, controlled by guards who ensured he never knew if it was day or night. No physical contact was permitted. Conversations with staff were one-way and through digital monitors. Even the air was filtered before entering his chamber, ensuring no outside particles or messages could be smuggled in. Krol's daily routine was monotonous by design. Wake-up call at 6 a.m., a 15-minute session of stretching monitored by guards, followed by a bland, protein-based breakfast. 3 hours of silence. Then came the psychological evaluations. Each day, a prison psychiatrist would attempt to engage Krol via video, trying to uncover the mechanics of his mind. Most days, he said nothing. Other days, he asked questions that disturbed even the most seasoned professionals. Questions that made it clear he understood people far better than anyone wanted to believe. And somehow, even in that prison built like a tomb, Viktor Krol found cracks in the system. It began with the night shift guard, an older man named Pavlenko, dealing with mounting debt and a sick wife. Krol noticed. During one psychological session, he referenced a rare medical condition, one Pavlenko's wife had. No one ever figured out how he knew. But from that moment on, Pavlenko became vulnerable. Small favors turned into special access. Access became opportunity. Then there was Dr. Rena Mirov, the psychiatrist assigned to him. Ambitious, curious, and fascinated by criminal psychology, she initially approached Krol with a sense of professional distance. But slowly, he got under her skin, complimenting her insights, engaging with her theories, even sharing what appeared to be traumatic stories from his own past. She believed she was breaking through to him. In reality, he was learning her routines, her weaknesses, her schedule. Viktor Krol never raised his voice, never made threats. He didn't need to. He was calculating every detail, reading the people around him like a book. And day by day, unnoticed by the outside world, he was laying the foundation for something unthinkable. In a place designed to crush the human spirit, Viktor Krol was quietly bending it to his will, and no one realized it until it was far too late. Viktor Krol's escape wasn't the result of a sudden impulse or a lucky break. It was a methodical, multi-year operation, crafted with the patience of a chess grandmaster and the cunning of a man who had spent his life outwitting systems. His plan began not with tools or tunnels, but with people, their fears, their needs, their weaknesses. It started with Pavlenko, the night guard. Krol never asked for help directly. Instead, he offered emotional support, referencing Pavlenko's terminally ill wife in ways that suggested he knew details no one else should. Whether it was manipulation or genuine empathy, Pavlenko began to bend, first with longer pauses near Krol's chamber, then with unauthorized access to guard system tablets. One day, Krol asked Pavlenko to leave a paper under the food tray. A small blank sheet. Just a test. Pavlenko obeyed. Next came the prison's tech contractor, Andrei Laskov, an outsider who performed routine maintenance on the surveillance systems. Krol had no direct access to him, but used Dr. Mirov to get close. Through seemingly innocent conversations, he planted the seed that the prison's system had blind spots. Mirov mentioned this to Laskov during a psychological consultation about paranoia in prisoners. Curious, Laskov ran a system scan and found an irregularity, one he assumed was a software glitch. What he didn't know was that Krol had planned for this discovery, manipulating a non-vital circuit to create a glitch in the hallway camera logs. Krol couldn't see the outside, but he'd memorized guard footsteps, timing, and shifts from the echoes and shadows cast under his cell door. Once Pavlenko and Laskov were unknowingly aligned, Krol needed a final piece: false identity and transport. This came from his only external contact, a lawyer who occasionally reviewed his appeal documents. That lawyer, Sergei Volkov, had a dark past and a deeper debt. Krol promised him one thing: freedom and money. In exchange, Volkov forged a security clearance badge for a medical emergency extraction and filed the fake documents under a stolen identity: Dr. Nikolai Vorin, an infectious disease specialist. The escape was set for a foggy winter morning. It unfolded with military precision. 4 a.m. Pavlenko triggered a silent maintenance alert on Level Z, initiating a brief camera outage lasting 6 minutes. 4:02 a.m., Laskov, arriving early for his shift, accessed the ventilation override panel. He unknowingly input the command sequence Krol had manipulated into his routine weeks earlier, opening a back panel near the cell's air system 3. 4:03 a.m. Krol slipped out, wearing a maintenance jumpsuit left by Pavlenko. He moved through the lower ducts and passed as a technician 4. 4:05 a.m. Using Volkov's forged ID badge and face mask, Krol walked through 3 internal checkpoints, blending in with 2 actual medical staff responding to a containment drill. By the time the real Dr. Vorin reported to work at 7 a.m., Viktor Krol had already been flown out of the region via a decoy medical transport helicopter. No alarms, no panic, just silence. The perfect escape, planned not in days, but over 5 long, patient years. It was a cold, gray morning, March 3rd, 2024. The air outside Blackridge Penitentiary was thick with fog, visibility down to mere meters. For most, it was just another day in the frozen mountain fortress. But for Viktor Krol, it was the final move in a long, calculated game. At 4 a.m., a system notification quietly pinged the central command room. Maintenance Diagnostic Alert, Level Z. It wasn't uncommon. The tech systems deep underground often registered false alarms due to the cold, so guards didn't react. But this one wasn't false. It was the trigger, manually activated by Pavlenko. At the same time, Andrei Laskov, the IT contractor, arrived early. His schedule had been changed last minute by someone in admin under Volkov's influence. Laskov accessed the diagnostics terminal near Krol's block, running a patch for what he believed was a glitch. Instead, he unknowingly disabled the motion sensors and opened a concealed vent panel designed for system checks, never meant to be accessed by prisoners. Inside the cell, Viktor Krol was ready. His jumpsuit, a stolen maintenance uniform stitched from torn bedding and real patches Pavlenko had smuggled in, hung neatly under his cot. With the vent open, he slipped through, crawling into a tight shaft that ran behind the wall panels of Level Z. He timed every movement to the second, memorized from years of studying the rhythm of prison life. At 4:03 a.m., a brief flicker in the surveillance feed went unnoticed. The 2 guards on duty were distracted, one filling out routine reports, the other watching a sports highlight on a muted screen. Krol emerged from a maintenance door near the staff locker rooms. He moved with confidence, head down, face obscured by a mask labeled Biohazard Response Team. No one questioned it. At 4:05 a.m., the final stage began. A helicopter, an authentic-looking medical transport arranged by Volkov, landed at the prison's rooftop pad. It had clearance papers, forged call logs, and a fabricated request to extract a biological hazard case. The medical crew on board were actors, mercenaries paid in cryptocurrency. Unaware they were helping the world's most wanted killer, Viktor Krol boarded the helicopter without resistance. No alarms, no raised voices, just protocol, perfectly played. It wasn't until 7:12 a.m. that the first sign something was wrong emerged. A junior guard noticed that the biohazard logs didn't match up. A call to the real doctor. Vorin confirmed the worst. He was never dispatched. The command room went into chaos. Sirens screamed. Drones were deployed. Internal lockdowns activated, but it was too late. By 7:30 a.m., the helicopter had crossed the Arctic border. 20 minutes later, it had landed, unloaded its passenger, and been torched in a remote forest clearing. No fingerprints, no bodies, just ashes. The prison warden collapsed in disbelief. News broke globally within hours. Headlines read, Viktor Krol escapes from Blackridge, world on alert, governments panicked, Interpol launched a manhunt, airports froze, borders closed, but Krol was gone, like a shadow slipping through the cracks of a perfect prison. And the world would never sleep the same again. The escape of Viktor Krol sent a wave of panic not just through Russia, but across the globe. Within hours of confirmation, Blackridge Penitentiary was placed on indefinite lockdown, and its entire staff was interrogated. The prison, once believed to be impenetrable, had failed, and the world demanded answers. By day 2, Interpol, Europol, and dozens of intelligence agencies were fully mobilized. Red notices were issued to over 190 countries. Airports shut down temporarily. Border checkpoints swelled with military presence. A global manhunt, unlike any in recent history, had begun. Every major city had his face plastered across digital billboards. Anonymous tips flooded hotlines, some genuine, many false. People claimed to see Krol in Istanbul, Berlin, New York, and even Tokyo. The paranoia was everywhere. One week in, there was a near capture in a remote Polish village. A man matching Krol's description was spotted boarding a train. Police surrounded it, detained a suspect, but it wasn't him. Another time, a drone patrol in northern Finland found a burned-out cabin with traces of blood and clothing resembling Krol's prison uniform. Again, no body, no Krol, just traces, like a ghost, always one step ahead. What baffled authorities most was how he stayed hidden. Despite being the most recognizable fugitive in the world, Krol left no digital footprint. He avoided facial recognition, never used electronics, and seemed to move with the kind of precision that suggested inside help or a network far more powerful than anyone imagined. Months passed. The media speculated wildly. Some claimed he had fled to South America, others believed he'd undergone plastic surgery. A few conspiracy theorists even pushed the idea that Krol was never real at all, that his escape was a distraction orchestrated by corrupt governments. Still, behind closed doors, intelligence agencies kept searching, burning through billions in manpower and technology. Then came the twist no one expected. 6 months after the escape, in the swamps of southern Thailand, a raid on a remote narcotics lab uncovered something strange. A locked room filled with stolen documents, passports, and encrypted hard drives. Among them, one single blood-stained photograph. It showed a man with Krol's eyes, but his face was mutilated, distorted by burns. Locals claimed the man had lived there under the alias Anton Marik and had died in a fire 3 weeks earlier. No body was ever found. The Russian government announced unofficially that they believed Krol was dead. The US and UK remained skeptical. Interpol kept the case open, but no verified sightings ever followed. The trail went cold. To this day, Viktor Krol's file remains marked at large. Some say he's still out there, watching. Others believe he died during a desperate escape gone wrong. But one thing is certain: his escape shattered the illusion of perfect security, exposed vulnerabilities in global systems, and reminded the world that evil, no matter how tightly caged, can always find a way out. And until proof of his death emerges, Viktor Krol lives on in fear, in legend, and in the shadows.